Welcome to China Gateway 360, connecting global businesses with China through insights, opportunities, and trends. We're diving straight in today. On July 27th, China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, or the MIIT, launched unannounced on-site inspections at XPeng and Aion manufacturing facilities. This happened right after reports of vehicle defects surfaced. For foreign auto suppliers, listen up, because this is a clear and massive regulatory shift. Beijing is now strictly demanding that the EV industry prove its breakneck innovation doesn't compromise safety, and that compliance bar is rising fast.
To understand why this crackdown is happening right now, we really just need to look at the sheer speed to market. Chinese EV makers are launching entirely new models in just 18 to 24 months. That is practically half the cycle time of traditional automotive manufacturers. Now, while this accelerated development pace has obviously driven incredible market growth, it's also put an immense strain on supply chain validation timelines. The rapid rollout of these vehicles has prompted regulators to make a very strict pivot toward enforcing safety protocols across the board.
Let's anchor this with some data to show the scale of the risk, because the numbers are pretty striking. In 2025 alone, 6.7 million vehicles were recalled in China. That is an 18% jump from the previous year. And with new recall regulations rolling out, the MIIT's authority has expanded significantly. They can now actually mandate recalls without manufacturer consent if they find systemic safety risks. This expanded authority is absolutely pushing that pace of recalls even higher as we look toward 2026.
But here's where things get complicated. We are no longer just dealing with mechanical faults. We're seeing completely novel failure modes driven by software-defined vehicle architectures. We're talking about sensor miscalibrations, over-the-air update regressions, and critical errors in ADAS decision-making. These highly specific software defects are slipping right past traditional homologation frameworks, the standard certification processes built mostly for mechanical parts. Because foreign component suppliers hold such a massive market share in these exact technologies, they are now sitting directly in the regulatory crosshairs.
And that brings us to a very real financial exposure: direct liability. When an MIET investigation finds a defect, it doesn't just stop at the vehicle assembly line anymore. The 2026 enforcement guidelines authorize strict supply chain traceability audits. If regulators trace a defect back to your specific braking unit, battery cell, or sensor module, as a foreign Tier 1 or Tier 2 supplier, you're facing severe financial consequences. Specifically, you could be looking at mandatory recall cost-sharing obligations that hit anywhere between 15% and 30% of the total recall expenses.
China Gateway. Gateway.
Your gateway to business in China.
So how do you actually protect your operations? There are 5 immediate actions you need to take. First, audit your traceability systems. Second, review your existing supply contracts for updated liability clauses. Third, map your OEM customers against the MIIT's inspection patterns so you can anticipate where investigations might cluster. Fourth, and this is absolutely crucial, engage local homologation experts to ensure you're complying with domestic requirements right alongside global UN R155 and R156 cybersecurity standards. Finally, prepare your local legal entity for direct regulatory contact with the MIIT's Equipment Industry Department. In a defect investigation, you simply cannot rely on your OEM customer to protect your interests.
It really all comes down to this one critical compliance question. Can your systems produce batch-to-VEN traceability within 72 hours of an MIT request? If the answer is no, you might find yourself assigned disproportionate liability in the event of a recall. Take a moment today to seriously consider where your readiness stands. That's all for this China Gateway 360. Like and comment to receive materials from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.